Would you like to know the secret to eliminating offline spreadsheets filled with outdated data that can potentially embarrass your organization? Kia ora, I'm Nathan Rose. I'm a lead consultant and Microsoft MVP with Cap Gemini based here in beautiful Auckland, New Zealand. So, over the past several episodes, the team behind the Ecosystems podcast have belabored the point that before you build anything in the Power Platform, you need to start with the data that underpins everything. Now, I confess I struggle to get my head around this. I generally start with process when I'm designing solutions. I'm a BA by trade, and that's generally how I've done it. However, a random email from my alma mater helped the penny to drop and helped me get my head around this key tenet of ecosystem architecture. So every year I get the same email from a new fundraiser at my university. Hey Nathan, we're going to be in your area. We'd love to meet up with you, hear everything about what you've been up to, and fill you in on some exciting developments at the university. Translation: you've been adulting long enough to donate. So I reply, you're going to be in New Zealand? No, silly, comes the response. We're coming to Maryland. That's where you're located. That's the address we have on file for you. The exchange generally concludes with the fundraiser sending me a URL to the university's centralized alumni portal. Now, each time I've authenticated on this portal, I'm stunned to find that the university has the correct details for me. The university shows that I'm located in Auckland, and yet this fundraiser, who works in one of the academic disciplines in the school, so think arts and sciences, business, that sort of thing, has data that's 2 decades out of date. How did this happen? Well, this is what happens when we start with the workload that we're implementing. So if we start with the app or the portal, we need an alumni portal. Okay, let's go and build that without fully understanding where it fits in this landscape of the organization and the data that's coming in and going out of this workload. Then we end up with disjointed systems. That's where we end up with a centralized alumni portal with correct details and a frontline staff member with an outdated spreadsheet. All right, so how might we apply ecosystem architecture to solve this? So if we start with the data, and I'm grossly oversimplifying here, we firstly need to understand this journey of how someone becomes an alumni and where that data needs to go. So how did I become an alumni? Well, at one point in time, I was enrolled and I graduated. That means my data needs to move from the student management system to the alumni system. Next, we need to understand that even though it's in the alumni system, the person who's actually going to interact with me as an alumnus sits in one of the academic schools within the university, business, arts and science, that type of thing. So we need to ensure that this centralized data that we have is available to them in some format so that they can do their jobs. This is what defining the data and starting with the data looks like. Once we've done that, we can then move on to the process, understand the processes that support this flow of data through the university, and more importantly, understand where the process conflicts with the flow of data, because that's where you're going to get your workarounds, which generally result in offline spreadsheets, and that's how you get data that's 20 years out of date. All right, so once we've defined the data and the process, then and only then can we move on to the actual technical workload that we're going to implement, to use the parlance of Cloud Lighthouse. So assuming we're going to do something in the Microsoft Power Platform, we'd have Dataverse at the core, possibly a mix of Canvas and model-driven apps, Power Pages, you get the idea. But by understanding this journey that the data needs to take through the organization and the touch points and who needs to be involved, we can ensure that we architect something that actually works for the university and ensures that the right people have the right data at the right time, and we don't end up with spreadsheets that are 20 years out of date for an end user while the centralized system has the correct data. So that's how a random email from my alma mater helped me finally get my head around this key tenet of ecosystem architecture. I can't wait to see the next episode, and I'll talk to you all soon.